TWF Rampage or Ramfru. I am Jim Ross here with Tony Schiavone and with Montel Vertadius Porter. And today on Rampage or Ramfru, we are going to see, I don't know what we're going to see here today on Rampage or Ramfru, Jim Ross says, but I heard it's going to be a good show, Jim Ross says. Well, you heard right, Tony Schiavone said. You heard Jim Ross, you heard right. It's going to be a good show here today on Rampage or Ramfru, AEW's offshoot of SmackDown, as some folks say. You know, Tony Schiavone says. Well, I could tell you one thing, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. Elijah Burke says, I'm here. I don't know why Montel Vertadius Porter was here first. I don't know what we're going to see here today on Rampage or Ramfru. But I believe, that it's going to be a good match. At least that's my held belief. My belief, Elijah Burke says, that we're going to see a good match here today on Rampage or Ramfru. And it's Dennis Rodman. Alright, Dennis Rodman goes. I have been in the TWF the first time from between 98 YL to 20. And then, I guess again from 23rd between YL. I guess 23rd between YL to now. I have held the heavyweight winnings 2 times, the light heavyweight winnings once, the Interlander winnings once. And we all know that my first offshoot was broken and had film around it. And if someone would have left the film alone, then I wouldn't have had my first run in the TWF would have not come to an end like it did back in the day. So here today, I think that and everybody thinks, oh, I should go after the World Heavyweight winnings, which is held by Biggie Langston. But that would be too wise. And someone out there might bitch about how, So, I think I should go for the TWF Heavyweight winnings, which is held by Mora. Or Mara, however you say her name, because I don't know if I'm saying her name right or not. And here she comes. Alright, so you want to fight me. You called me out, Dennis Rodman, and you want to fight me. You want me to put my TWF heavyweight winnings on stake here today on Rampage or Ramfru. So what's this all about, Dennis Rodman? And it can't be about, oh well, yeah, I know your first run in the toy wrestling gathering didn't quite go the way you want to go, and your two-diff run was a little more greater than that. And the last time anyone ever saw you, yeah, you were in the Doomsday until that team came to an end. And you left out one of their winnings because if I think right enough, you did win the TWF Pennsylvania Allegheny Earldom winnings once. So you can't say you didn't win something. But I know, Dennis Rodman, you can't help that you got an NWO shirt on you. And the NWO has truly been dead since 2002 YL and its offshoot in WWF WWE. Now, the way I look at it is, yeah, I am the fighting TWF heavyweight fighter. I took on all dares. I mean, I fought Mark Mackwell, Jacob Friedman. I fought Jack Sparrow. Hell, I even fought Baron Corbin, and he had Aries help him, and I still won. So, Dennis Rodman, you want me to fight you here today on Rampage or Ramfru? Yeah, well, that's about right, Dennis Rodman says. That's what I want. you be in the TWF, and I guess this really truly seems to be the bind in the TWF all the time, you know, is that the bind seems to be they get you, they put you in boxes, and then they forget where you're at. And they don't work everyone they get. Why don't you stop your bitching and ranting, Baron Corbin says. As the main overseer of the TWF, I'm here to tell you that we can't get everyone on the show. Back in the day, the TWF was known for putting on these long yield shows, long farseer shows. And we still are shifting that shit over from film to disc. But we're getting there. And Dennis Rodman, yeah, you were there back in the day. Yeah, I know your first run, between 98 YL and 20 YL. I know how it went. Came in, went to the land of overtaking, they kicked you out. Then you teamed up with Ahmed Johnson and Ken Shamrock and Hulk Hogan and the Over Warrior, the Over Fighter. That didn't go very well. Then you had your bind with Steve Austin. He beat you every time. Oh yeah, you wanted TWF Light Heavyweight winnings. You wanted TWF Interland winnings. Yes, you did all that. You wanted TWF Allegheny Earldom winnings. I'll give you that. You wanted TWF Heavyweight winnings 2 times. Yeah, but all that shit happened in your first run. And you know, Dennis Rodman, if someone just left that film alone back in the day, you would still be here. And you, Mora, you can't go around saying what matches and what fights you're going to be in, you're not going to be in. That comes from me. Or Astronema, or Hunter Hearst Helmsley, or Xena. So, no, Mora, I don't think you're going to be putting, I think, yeah, you are going to be putting your TWF heavyweight winnings on stake here today against Dennis Rodman, a man I don't really know that much about, so I don't hate him. But I hate you, Mora, because you cheated. And I will get my new match with you. So, here today, we're going to have Mora is going to take on Dennis Rodman for the TWF heavyweight winnings. So get a fight lord out here, and for God's sake, he better need not be falling down. You gonna fall down? Okay, stop being awkward. Shit. And wrestlers falling down, or dolls falling down, has been a bind in a toy wrestling gathering going back to 30 years, Jim Ross says. And sadly, there's no answer to that bind. Do we over sticky ooze everyone? Do we put film on their feet? No one seems to have the answer to that asking thing, Jim Ross says. That's right, Tony Schiavone said. For 30 years, dolls of all kinds, wrestlers, fighters, overstars, what you want to call them, have all fallen down. Yeah, Elijah Burke says, that still seems to be a bind to this day. And Baron Corbin seems to hate Mora, but he also doesn't really seem to be too highly on Dennis Rodman either. Well, this is for the TWF heavyweight winnings. He is from Chicago, Illinois, 4-1 Reichs. He is Dennis Rodman. And she is the TWF heavyweight fighter from Honolulu, Hawaiish land, 4-1 Reichs, Mora. Well, you're having 2 folks fighting from 2 unlike Reichs. Well, the truth is, Jim Ross said you got 2 Reichs fighting, 2 Earldoms fighting, and 2 Nears fighting. Dennis Rodman got body slammed. Now, Jim Ross said, I never ever got to work with Dennis Rodman, because he did all his wrestling time in WCW and his one-off you know, and some other you know, self-landed wrestling, southern land wrestling business where he fought Kurt Hennig. Jim Ross says, well, Tony Schiavone said, we do know that Dennis Rodman was the only man to win Hulk Hogan's, you know, wrestling show back when Hulk Hogan had a wrestling show. And we all know that Dennis Rodman was a follower of the NWO during most of all his run in WCW, starting from between 97 YL, I think, until between 99 YL. And he spent all that time, you know, either in tag team matches with either Dallas Page and Jay Leno, or the one with Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone. Yeah, Elijah Burke said, then he spent the rest of his time fighting Randy Savage. Why? I don't know. But, you know, they gave him a really bad nickname back in the day. They called him the Worm, Dennis Rodman, Elijah Burke said. And I thought that was a bad nickname that they gave him. Because he always seemed to, Elijah Burke says, well, because he always seemed to be worming himself in and out of binds. That's why they called him that, Jim Ross says. And I wasn't in WCW at that time. That's right, Tony Schiavone said. Dennis Rodman always seemed to had this skill to get in and out of binds like a worm. You know. Everybody called him Dirty Dennis Rodman. But I think that was just a TWF name for him. And it seems, Tony Schiavone says, it seems Jim Ross says that Dennis Rodman has to watch out for the Hawaii strike. That has put many a wrestler, many a fighter, many of overstar down. That's right, many wrestlers, fighters, overstars have been taken down by the Hawaii spike. Tony Schiavone said, oh, Dennis Rodman got out of the way. Tony Schiavone said, well, Dennis Rodman isn't going to be like those other wrestlers, those other fighters, those other overstars, Elijah Burke said, whatever you want to call them. Like you say, he can get himself in and out of binds that he's in. And Dennis Rodman taking her down. He took Mora down with what we called the dirty thing. And his first run in the TWF, Jim Ross says. That's right. Will the dirty thing make him a TWF heavyweight fighter for the third time? For the 30th time, Tony Schiavone says. Only time will tell, Elijah Burke says, if he can cover her and the Fight Lord can track 1, 2, 3 without having some kind of mishap. 1, 2, and Amora just kicked out. Dennis Rodman fought the dirty thing all he could do to beat Mora here today, and it seems it's not going to work. Mora just struck Dennis Rodman down with the Hawaii strike, the Hawaii spike. She struck Dennis Rodman down with the Hawaii spike. And now she's covering Dennis Rodman, Jim Ross says. It looks like Tony Schiavone said that Mora will keep the TWF heavyweight winnings for another day. It looks like it, Elijah Burke said. She's kept it ever since the 4th month. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner. And still the TWF heavyweight, still the TWF still the TWF heavyweight fighter, Mora. And Dennis Rodman did not win the TWF heavyweight winnings for the third time. He did not become a 3-time TWF heavyweight fighter, Jim Ross says. No, he did not, Tony Schiavone said, and I feel sorry for Dennis Rodman. Well, Elijah Burke says Dennis Rodman should have kept away from that Hawaii spike. But sadly he could not. And sadly he got beaten from it. So Dennis Rodman, there you are, laying down. How the fuck did you ever go from being a winnable ball player to being a wrestler? I never understand it. And you somehow thought you could be a show player too. Well, you let all those winnable ball Well, you were a loser as a skilled, winnable ball player, a loser as a skilled wrestler, a loser as a skilled show player. You're a loser because you're friends with Jun Kim, who is the third highest leader of North Korea's land. You're also a loser because you got the NWO shirt on you. How you like that, Dennis Rodman? And it seems that Baron Corbin is still doing all kinds of binds to fellow wrestlers, fellow overstars and fighters. And Michael Cole now is now going to be talking with Dennis Rodman. Well, thank you, Jim Ross, and thank you, Tony Schiavone. I'm going to be talking with Dennis Rodman here today. And Dennis Rodman, we just saw Baron Corbin said, "Oh, Michael Cole, Baron Corbin wanted to say a lot of things about me. How I was a loser as a as a winnable ball player, as a skilled wrestler, as a skilled show player. I was only in one film." Yeah, he likes to bring up my friendship with Jun Kim as almost if that somehow makes me a bad man. Well, you do know that Jun Kim is a foe. The third highest leader of North Korea's land is a foe of the 4-1 Reichs. Yeah, I know. But anyway, Baron Corbin, what have you done? You didn't really do anything when you came to the toy wrestling gathering. At least I'd done a lot more in my first run and Tudif run than you did in your whole run yet. And somehow you're still the main overseer of the TWF. You started shit with the Hulk. You started shit with Mora. Now you're starting shit with me. You're making foes left and right, Baron Corbin. And sooner or later, every one of those foes you make is going to bring your downfall. Well, I'm sorry to hear, Dennis Rodman, that you did not become a free-time TWF heavyweight fighter. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that too. I could have won it. It could have been a free time, but it wasn't. It's not what it was not what it was. Anyway, I'm going to be the TWF heavyweight fighter for the third time one day. It just today was not my day, I guess. Well, that's my talk with Dennis Rodman. Back to you, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone. Thank you, Michael Cole, for talking with Dennis Rodman here today on Rampage or Ramfru. And that's all the time we got it for Rampage or Ramfru. I, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Elijah Burke, we hope you like Rampage or Ramfru, and we'll see you tomorrow for Power or Might.